welcome back to the next episode of the KaroKirsch podcast. My name is Karo and I am a knitter, spinner and artsy person living in the northern part of Germany. And wow, I'm back so soon. What's this? Well, first reason, last episode took me quite a while to edit, not too long, but still a little bit. And I'm really hoping this one I'll be faster, but actually this time I have a plan. Yeah, I have actually lots of stuff to show you. I have 3 finished objects, 2 of which technically should have been part of the last episode, but I just forgot. I actually just forgot, and I think in the end it was good because last episode I had enough things to show you anyways, because there was quite some time that passed since the episode before that, so that's good. I have those 3. It's fairly small projects though, so don't get too excited, but there is one for me very exciting project, so we'll get to that. I have 2 works in progress, which is, I guess, not very typical for me, but you won't be too surprised which projects those are. I have the finished spinning skeins that I already showed you on the bobbin last time. Not much other spinning that was happening in the past few weeks there. I actually did some natural dyeing, which I'm very happy about the results. And then there is some artsy things that have been happening since January, which I would like to show you and tell you a bit more about. So there will be an overhead section this time for real. I already planned for this last time, but as I said, it was a little bit of a crazy episode. But this time I think I'll manage to actually put it in the end. So we'll see. Let's get started. Grab yourself a cup of tea or coffee or water, some knitting, and yeah, let's get cozy. You can follow me. Ooh, I'm thinking about it before we start. The only other place really where you can find me apart from my YouTube channel is Instagram. There I am KaroKirsch, and I post my knitting and my art mainly, exclusively really. I don't post anything else there, and I'm actually pretty good this year, so head over there and give me a follow. That would be very nice. Let's get started with the knitting. Finished objects. The first object I would like to show you actually goes with that nice mullet skirt I showed you in one of my previous episodes. And that one I knit with my hand spun, if you remember, and I had a little bit left over. I think I already talked about my plan of making some gaiters for my daughter to go with that skirt. And they are here. They have been worn a lot, so unfortunately they don't look very pretty anymore. It's pretty much freestyle. I based the number of stitches to cast on the pattern of guêtre ou ne pas guêtre. I don't know, sorry, my French. I'm not a good language person. English is the only language I can, or foreign language that I can do. Anyways, so there's 2, there's 2x2 rib cast on. Then I did kind of a pearl texture going around, which I kind of based on the, what were their socks called, the white socks I was knitting on forever, that kind of spins around the whole thing. And then I made these little pom-poms which already look horrendous. There were 2, and this one also had 2, but as you can see, they didn't really last very long. My daughter loved them, so she was pulling on them constantly, and obviously they're on her feet, so they're bound to get quite a bit of wear, but this one's been holding up quite well. There's one that's still intact that I could attach to this one, but the other 2 just kind of, I don't know, I guess I didn't make them tight enough or something, so all the yarn just came out. Yeah. She loves them, I love them. They obviously go super well with her little mullet skirt together. The designer of that guêtre ou pas guêtre, I don't remember. I'll put it in my usual down bar thing. Yeah, really, really cute. It used up every last scrap. I used up all the leftover hand spun in these pom-poms. It was actually not quite enough. I wanted to make complete out of this color, the pom-poms, but yeah, I just didn't have enough. So I had to substitute with a white yarn, but that's okay. That actually makes them a little bit more noticeable. Yes, so that's the one finished object, and the other one is the super exciting one I mentioned, because when I was editing the last episode, I realized I was talking about, when I was talking about my sock spinning, that I noticed for myself that sport yarn is actually a good weight of yarn for me and my sock knitting. And then I realized, hang on, did I actually ever show these socks where I noticed that? No, I did not. And that's probably because I forgot that I knit them back when I was prepping the last episode, because they went off my needle so fast. So let me show you. I actually managed to knit socks for my husband. Sorry, they've been worn as well. I actually washed them this morning and dried them in the sun so they would look somewhat presentable. But yeah, these came off my needle super fast. These were definitely the fastest socks I ever done, and I think there's two main reasons for this. The one reason is the yarn I used is the opal yarn I showed you in the acquisitions. I put the exact name, I don't remember. I think it's the 6 Fach, so a 6-ply. So a fairly thick yarn, sport weight for a sock yarn. And so yeah, obviously thicker yarn, you can knit faster. And then the other reason is that I did an afterthought heel, which I never did before, meaning I cast on the ribbing, I did a twisted rib, and I actually used the number of stitches they recommended on the opal yarn ball band. There they have guidelines on how many stitches to cast on for what shoe size, and seems that worked really well for me, since my gauge usually ends up fairly average, so I can go off these numbers on the ball band. So I'm definitely going to try that again if they give me numbers like that. Yeah, but the afterthought heel, so I cast on the ribbing, did a twisted 1x1 rib, and then just knit however much I thought would be good for my husband. And then I put in a waist yarn for 1/2 of the round, basically. And then I continued knitting, so it was a continuous tube with no heel in the beginning. But I did already cut the yarn I was knitting with, put a piece of waist yarn for half a round, and then I continued with my other yarn. And that way I have a continuous like pattern repeat too, which I think is nice. And then I knit down and did a toe. And then I took out the waist yarn and cast on for my heel and did basically a second toe, which, yeah, I don't know. I actually never really asked my husband if they fit nicely or something, but he never complained, and he's wearing them, so I'm assuming he likes them. And yeah, I definitely did owe him a pair of socks for sure, because as I said, those other socks that I still can't remember, Dear Björn, they were called Dear Björn socks, right? They were originally meant for him and he didn't get them. So now he has a pair of socks from me, which is nice, and he likes them. And I mentioned there is 3 finished objects. So the third finished object is one I did knit between the last episode and this episode. So this is an actual recent finished object, but you do know the pattern because I knitted before, and it is the Eliza dress by Tyga Hilliard Designs. And yeah, I knit this one for my daughter before. But this one's not for my daughter, it is for the daughter of a good friend of mine, because she had a baby in January, and I really, really like this pattern, or like this garment for my daughter, and it grew with her. I think she was able to wear it kind of just before Christmas. So it's really nice. Eventually it just got a little bit tight around the armhole. Other than that, obviously it's just a little dress. It just became a little bit shorter, which is fine. Then you just put some cute pants on her and she can still wear it as a top. So that's what we did with this. And yeah, that's why I chose to just knit this one again, because I thought it was very practical, which is usually the main thing when it comes to baby knits. The yarn I used for this one is, do I remember? Dye Candy, I believe. I don't remember the colorway, but again, I'll put it in for you in the info bar. And it's just a very cute, kind of undyed with just a lot of different colored speckles. So there's every color on the planet, it seems, in here. And I actually got this yarn from a D-stash, and I never really knew what to do with this because it's not quite my color palette. I just don't do rainbow. But yeah, obviously for a baby knit, it's super nice, and it's a girl, but it's not too girly. I mean, there's a little pink in there, but there's all the other colors. So I think this will be nice for whatever color taste that person will have. Like that person, my friend, and I do know she likes blue, but who knows? Yes, so I'm very happy about this. I hope she'll like it. I'll send it off now. And yeah, let's hope that baby will be nice and cozy in there. So that is all my finished objects. I have 2 projects on the needles. The one is the Flax Light by Tin Can Knits, and I actually did quite a bit of work on it since last time we spoke. Here, I actually even put a progress keeper in. So last time I was just before the sleeve separation. And now I'm pretty far down the body. I think I still have a little bit to go. But I faded in the darkest color, which actually created quite a bit of a line because I'm not fading on the wrong side. I am fading on the knit stitch side, which makes it a little bit more obvious. And the other thing that happens, so yeah, last time I was knitting with this color already, which actually turned out to be darker than the one like the next skein I used. I did fade it in a little bit, but obviously then eventually I just used this skein, and that was lighter than the one before, which was not visible in the skein. It's just kind of visible now, but I don't know, looking on my camera screen right now, I don't think it's that bad. Yeah, we'll see if that bothers me. I mean, I think this stripe is a bit more of a problem than this being lighter than this. But I think it'll still be a nice, easy sweater. Now I can show you the garter panel on the shoulders, which I kind of messed up with my daughter's sweater, but I was aware then for this pattern that you had to have some knit stitches between the raglan increases and the garter panel. And yeah, chucking away at it. I hope next time we'll talk I'm on Sleeve Island, and I hope it's not an island. I hope I'll just knit the sleeves and be happy with the sweater. Yeah, the pattern, I think I mentioned, is by Tin Can Knits. It's a free pattern, and the nice thing, it's super size inclusive. It goes from like newborn up to, I don't know how many XSL. So that's always super nice. And yeah, just a very basic sweater pattern. Like, who doesn't want a basic sweater? It's great for using up my lots and lots and lots of Filcolana Anina. I kept saying Pernilla last time because that's the other yarn I have from Filcolana, but this one is the Anina yarn, which I used for the rose cardigan for my sister, and I had lots of leftovers. And I think I'll have, even after I'm done with this sweater, I still need to extend the one from my daughter. I haven't done that yet. But I probably will still have some yarn left over. I'll see how much, but I'm thinking of making a third one of the flax light for, is it my nephew? Yeah, I think it's my nephew. Sorry, these family relation things, I always have to think twice. But the son of my husband's sister. He's also newborn. He was born in March, so I could, depending on how much yarn I'll have, I either do the newborn size or the 3 to 6 months size, I guess. Maybe the 3 to 6 month size would be nice because newborn is kind of already over. Like, they grow so fast in the beginning, so we'll see. I hope I can do that. That would be nice, and that would be a very quick project. But I think then I'm really done seeing this yarn. Which brings me to my other work in progress. I did show you last week my shifty sweater. And I don't know, last week, I'm saying last week, it's the last episode, it wasn't last week. I was really convinced. I'm just still not ready to get back into that project. I was still just super frustrated with it, but for some reason, I guess because I was a little bit sick of knitting with the same yarn over and over again, I did look at it again and I was like, what the heck, I'll just rip back that little bit that I still had knitted, which I needed to rip back, and look at it again and just take a deep breath and go for it. And it seems to be working out. Like, guys, I can't stop knitting on this now. So let me just get this in a presentable state. This is the Shifty Sweater by Andrea Mowry, and I love it. I love it so much. And this is how far I am. So, as I said, I had to rip back all the way to the ribbing that has been done since last year's summer. That's the only thing that's been constant since last year. I always had to go back to that ribbing and then go again, but I think I got it right this time. I virtually just put away the pattern. I think that was always my problem. I was just too attached to that pattern, and I thought I needed to do the increases at the space where she's doing the increases and do it kind of regularly following her increase, obviously kind of recalculating to my gauge. But I think that just didn't work out. I think the spacing was a problem. Obviously my gauge was still a problem. I'm still not quite sure with the gauge. Like, I measured my gauge again as I was knitting on this and kind of calculated roughly where I needed to end up with a stitch count, but what I did this time, I constantly tried it on. And that obviously helped, because then I could just stop. No, I'm not going to do more increases, even though technically I should have, even with my new gauge swatch, should have done some increases. But I think it's because of the negative ease with this sweater. Maybe this is just more stretchy because of the bigger pattern repeat or something than Andrea's, like, tighter gauge or something. I don't know, something's happening there, but it fits now, which makes me very, very, very happy. And yeah, I'm already in the body. I actually had to go back just a little bit here because I didn't cast on enough stitches under the arm the first time I was here. So I knit a little bit and then I tried it on, realized it was a bit too tight around my boobs. So I had to go back just a little bit again and just cast on a few more stitches underneath the arm. And this, now it's working out really, really well. And maybe I find some of the footage from last time just to give you an idea how much it changed, because if you just look at the colors, I'm still sort of in my, I'm like nearly done with my first color, if you will, which is this gray blue. And this only lasted me until here, like just before the sleeve separation. The first time I kind of went this far, their ear was already in like the light blue. So this is how much further I got now with my new cast on number, which should give you an idea how much more fabric there was in the shoulders before. Yeah, but it's so addicting. It's as addicting as ever to knit on this, which makes me very happy because I was a bit scared that I'll be just too annoyed with this project, and I've done it so many times. But I don't know, it's sort of this combination of knitting stripes, which is addicting in itself, knitting with your hand spun, which is addicting. Now I just want to get done with this little ball so I can pick the next yarn section and kind of think about the colors. I also will have to think about what I want to do with the arms, that it doesn't leave a too jarring color cut or something, or I'll make it very obvious that it's just a new color. I'll have to see. I have to, when I'm done with this little bit, then I have to look at the yarn I have left over and think about the color spacing, because yeah, last time I was knitting this, I kind of planned to have this all in the yoke, which worked with my super huge version, and then I could just start knitting with the blue, with the sleeves and with the body, but now it doesn't work because the gray lasts much longer, which is nice. I'll definitely have maybe a bit of yarn left over and be able to do my Birkin sweater plan, which will be nice. But yeah, so I just have to rethink my color choices, but I think that's an easier problem to solve. It fits now, which makes me super happy. I'm knitting on it kind of non-stop. I have the feeling this will be done before my flax light. I actually have not continued on my flax light since I restarted this one. Yeah, so we'll see. I'm very excited about it. I mean, third time is a charm, you can't say, because this is probably like the 5th time, but who cares? I finally got it, and it might work this time. Yeah, this is all my knitting I wanted to share with you, or not I wanted to share with you, I have to share with you. There's no other knitting going on that I could share. So let's move on to my next segment, which is spinning. There is not a whole lot of excitement to talk about. It's just the same spin that I showed you last time. Now it's off the bobbin. I have a problem with that word. So this is the one that was still on the bobbin last time that I held into the camera. Now it's just in a super chunky skein. But I do have some stats for you now. Well, not that many stats, I just realized. So this is 120 gram. Remember how last time I thought it wasn't even 100 grams on one bobbin? I'm very proud of myself that I managed to put 120 gram on one bobbin. That's pretty good for me. And yeah, it's 379 meters. So it's just from the weight length ratio, a little bit thicker than fingering weight yarn, but not by much, which is what I expected. It lands somewhere between fingering and sport. Again, as I was expecting, it fluffed up quite a bit during the washing. So it kind of looks like a sport, but it'll probably knit up more like a fingering. But yeah, I think those will make nice socks. Again, not too crazy about the color. There might still be some change in the look of the yarn once it's knit up, but I think it'll just keep this mauled look. Yeah, but I'm also done with the second half. I have not measured this, but it'll be stats-wise similar to this, but it's obviously a little bit less. Yeah, I don't think I even weighed this section of the yarn. The funny thing with this, it was a 3-ply. I spun it as a traditional 3-ply, so 3 singles and 3 bobbins, and then plied those 3 together. But obviously towards the end, one just runs out and then you only have 2 bobbins left. So I really wanted to use up all the singles and put it into this skein. So what I ended up doing, I chose from the 2 remaining singles that I still had, I chose the one bobbin that had the least yardage on it left. And then I did a, what's it called? The Andean plying bracelet, which I've never done before. I always wanted to try this. And I thought this was like such a tiny amount, it would be perfect to just give it a go. So I watched some YouTube videos and did the Andean plying bracelet, and it worked really, really nicely. I mean, I don't think it's good for if you have a lot of amount left to spin, because you're obviously attached to your spinning wheel then. You can't put it down, but it's perfect for those tiny little leftovers. But yeah, so I spun then the 1 single off that 1 bobbin, and then 2 singles off my Andean plying bracelet. So I still had a 3 ply until that was done, the bracelet, and then I just had 1 bobbin left with a single, and there I did a chain ply. And while I was doing the chain ply, which is virtually only the very last bit, and I think you can see it here, it's those where there's like these strands that really only have 1 color. That's probably the method of plying I should have used for the entire spin, and that probably would have made the colors a little bit more palatable. Not quite as mauled and jungled, but you live and you learn. Again, these are going to be socks, and I think they're going to be completely okay for socks. So yes, spin done, which makes me very happy, even though I'm not super happy with the actual result. Yeah, but as I mentioned, I did some natural dyeing, and I dyed with ivy berries. They're around all year, and they're really around a lot in my area. And when I go on walks with my daughter to whatever playgrounds and stuff, I keep seeing them. So one day I just decided, okay, I'll just pick a few and bring them home with me. And I don't know why we went for Easter. It was the Easter weekend. We went to my mom to kind of have a little bit of an Easter egg hunt for my daughter, and that morning before we went, I decided to start dyeing that stuff, because I had it set up, and like you have to have it soak the berries overnight. But yeah, anyway, so I prepared that, and I had it sitting there, and I knew if I would leave it there, I would start molding and stuff, so I didn't want that. So I said, yeah, okay, either I do the dyeing now in the 2 hours before we leave, or it'll go to waste. So I just put it on the stove top and have it simmer, and threw in the yarns, which I luckily already prepared. I had them alum mordanted all in one go, and this is what came out. So it's a very, very nice dark green shade. It's very similar to my Mahonia berry dye experiment. This one's a little bit cooler than the Mahonia one. The Mahonia has like, I don't know, if you have it right next to one another, the Mahonia looks more golden, like a little bit more of a yellow touch, and this is a bit more gray and muted. But it's very nice and dark and intense. But actually, oh yeah, right. This one I did throw in, what was it? It was birch. My husband had made a cup out of birch burl, a kuksa it's called. It's a Finnish cup that you hand carve, and then you have a camping cup. Anyways, and you need to have that soak in boiling water or something. And then I was like, don't throw out that boiling water, that water with the birch. Maybe it'll do something color-wise. So I threw in the skein, but it only turned out, I didn't take a picture of it because it wasn't very exciting. It only was like brown, beige brown, very light color. It didn't really do much. And then I decided to just take that skein and throw it into the ivy berries. So that's how this skein turned out. So it was, I guess, mordanted with the birch, and then I threw it in the ivy. And then I decided, because the water still looked fairly dark after I took this one out, that I would throw in another one. And that one's only prepared with alum, and that's that color. So it's a much lighter shade, and I don't really know if that's because there was just not that much dye in the dye bath, or if it was because this one was prepped with the birch. Probably a combination of both. But yeah, they obviously go super nicely together. I don't know if I'll use them together, but that's for sure a possibility. Yeah, but I'm very happy with the result here. It's a nice green. Next on my natural dye list is going for blues though. As you know, I love blues, and I definitely want to go with the Mahonia berries again. The flowers are out like crazy at the moment, so I guess in 1 or 2 months there will be the berries, so I'll definitely try that, but keep away the, what's it called, the base, not acidic, the opposite of acidic. I never know the English term for that. I think it's a base that turned it into that green color I had last time, but just do an iron modifier at the end, which on my fiber test strand I had last time, it kind of looked like a bluish gray. So that's what I'm gonna try with my next Mahonia. And I also have some Blauholz, I'll put the translation probably there, which I also want to try, which as a name, at least a German name suggests, is gonna give some blue colors. Yeah, so we'll see. Wish me luck. Speaking of blue, I did start trying and experimenting with Cyanoprint. If you already follow me on Instagram, you would have seen that for Easter I posted some Happy Easter with some blue eggs that I actually dipped in a chemical solution out of 2 iron compounds. I don't know, don't ask me. Google Cyanoprint and you'll find what you need for it. I ordered it off Amazon. It's 2 different powders that you mix together in distilled water, and then you can coat whatever really with it, put it in the sun, have something blocking parts of whatever you covered with that mixture, and then you take it out of the sun and you develop it in water, and then everything that was in the sun will turn nice bright blue, and everything that was blocked from the sun will technically stay white, or if you have just like parts, like a little bit of light on it, there'll obviously be just a lighter shade of blue. And then I realized that those blueprints actually make a really nice collage material. So I actually just started covering a bunch of random papers that I have in my stash, coating with that stuff. And I now and then take some out because you can just store them in like a dark place for a little while anyways, and they're good. And then you can just take out a piece, put something on it, put it in the sun, have it develop, and yeah, and then you have some cool results. And let me show you some of them. I mean, they didn't turn out all really, really nice. Like this one, for instance, you can hardly see what I put on there. I have no idea what that plant is called. Maybe I'll find it and I'll put the information there, but you can barely tell what it is. This one's even worse, I'm not gonna show, but this one here is Tuya, I know, and I think that looks so cool. I mean, the whole piece is not like, ooh, I want to frame it and put it on my wall, but I think if you just like take pieces of it, it'll be such cool collage material. So yeah, I'm really having fun with this. I made quite a few. Yeah, this batch. This is again the Tuya. The Tuya definitely worked best on this batch. Let me show you something else. Yeah, again, this is like thinner paper. I just tried different papers because I heard like on different types of paper the blue turns out different. So here's a Tuya again here. I have this other random plant. I stole that from my mom's garden. I don't know, I would have to ask her what that is. Oh, and just like, yeah, if you just take like little sections of it, you still have like cool ephemera pieces. And yeah, so I'm having fun with this. I'm learning while I'm doing this. And yeah, if you just compare these two. Those are just two different watercolor papers, and the blue here is much more ultramarine, whereas this one is kind of more muted, even though it's technically the same paper. I mean, the prints didn't really turn out well. Here you can see a little bit, but on this one, whatever, I don't know what happened here, honestly. This one didn't turn out at all. There's just a few branches that you can see. None of the leaves showed up, but I don't know. I think it'll still make some cool ephemera. This is actually some Tim Holtz paper that I never really used, so I thought I use that. And if the print doesn't turn out well, then I still have kind of the vintagey things in the background. So yeah, I'm having fun with this, making lots of collage fodder, how it's being called by the social media world, I noticed. And yeah, and I'm using it a lot in my art journal and my sketchbooks. And I'm finally working in these again.
Hey, welcome to the overhead segment. Sorry for the abrupt cut there, but I started talking about the journals and then I decided I kind of wanted to do it this way. Anyways, first of all, excuse my voice. It's been a few days since I recorded the podcast and I got sick and I still am a little bit, so I really hope my voice is not too annoying. I'll try to cut out any sniffling or something. Just a cold, no COVID, yay. But yeah, you're seeing me working on my latest art journaling spread. In that book that I actually showcased in the other episode where you've seen some of my art journaling practice. You won't see me finish the spread because the footage eventually just cuts off. My battery ran out and I'm not even done with the whole page anyways. But after this overhead segment, I show where I'm at with that page, so you get to see a bit more. But yeah, I just thought I would give you something more interesting to look at than my face while I talk about my art journaling practice, which really picked up since January. And I mentioned in a previous episode that I signed up for the Wanderlust class. It's kind of brought together by Kasha-Every at Everything Art. I'll put a link down below. She has a lot of classes, but this Wanderlust class is actually a year-long course. There's 26 teachers, I believe, all together, and every week on Friday of the entire year of 2021. This, by the way, not the first year that's happening. I don't know when the first time was, but I think it's already like the 5th or 6th time. But yeah, every Friday you get a class to watch from one of the teachers. Kasha-Every obviously has quite a few in there. She actually always brings you the first lesson of the new topic. So every month, roughly, I mean, it's every 4 weeks, I believe, that the topic changes. And yeah, so it's really kind of cool. So you have these different teachers with their different approaches and techniques, and they just kind of give you a glimpse into their process, really. It's not super detailed instructional videos. It's really more just to give you inspiration, show you techniques that you might not know, and how you could use different media. So it's a full-on mixed media art journaling, writing or no writing, mainly paints and collage, really. So it's really fun. I've been really enjoying this. I can only highly recommend this. And yeah, it's really inspired me to work in my journal a lot more. So I'm obviously doing the classes, even though I'm falling a little bit behind, because as you can imagine, with 26 different artists, not everything is gonna vibe with you, not everything's gonna be your style or kind of inspire you to do something. or you simply don't have time to work on it. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about my progress so far. I don't feel like I'm super far behind. Actually, the classes I've skipped so far are classes where you're using a jelly plate, which I don't have at the moment, but I wished for my birthday. But because of COVID, we can't meet, and we decided to exchange gifts when we can actually meet in person. So we'll get to that eventually, and I can do those classes. And meanwhile, I've also started working just on free spreads like the one you're watching right now, where I'm just doing whatever the heck I want and not really following a particular class. But yeah, I thought I would show you just some pictures, so I'll insert them over the footage you're seeing and talk a little bit of them. It's not every single spread I did in the course so far, but the ones I kind of posted on Instagram, and yeah, kind of my favorite ones, I guess. So this one is week 1, and it's very chaotic, and that was a class by ravelry, and her process definitely is very chaotic. And I mean that in the best way possible, really. I really like that. It's a very free process. It's good for me because I mentioned before I like this artist by Bond, and I did a few classes with her, and you're actually seeing me kind of drawing on top of an ephemera piece of hers there. Anyways, but she has actually a very tight process. It's always kind of the same steps, which I really like. I like that process, and I'm actually using a little bit of her techniques I learned there in this spread. But anyways, ravelry's workflow is very free. It's a lot of scribbling, a lot of different media, and a lot of covering up your previous layers. And I know a lot of people do that. Baiban, Roxanne Cobble also does that. But yeah, ravelry definitely brings that to an extreme. Definitely quite more extreme than I ever dared doing. Like, she does whatever, 4 or 5 beautiful layers. You're super happy with what you're doing, and then she just takes this big tub of white gesso and basically covers up 95% of her page. I'm not the only one struggling with this. They're like, with the class, you have this Facebook group. So, and there's a lot of people are like, no, I can't cover up my layers. How do you guys do that? You put all this work in there and then you just cover it all up. And yeah, I don't do that either. But I do see the point in the layers having purpose. This spread you're actually watching is a perfect example of that. I've used this one ephemera piece there of the map, and in the beginning of me kind of playing around with my ephemera, you see me struggle quite a bit to place it to begin with. I found a spot and I worked with it, but already looking at it from my perspective right now where the page is at, it just does not go in there. The color just not jive with the rest, but it did inform the color choice or the color choices I made. That light blue color you see me working with right now is actually a color I pulled directly from that map ephemera piece, and I think it goes really nicely with a page, but it doesn't go with that ephemera piece I pulled it from, because I think it's just slightly darker, and that's what's the problem. Anyways, I end up covering up this ephemera piece entirely, but that just goes to show how hidden layers still inform the rest of the page, and I guess that's where I see the point. I don't see the point in covering everything up, but I do see the point in covering up layers for sure. But yeah, let's look at a few more spreads I did with the course. This one is week 2, and at first I was really excited with her techniques because it was a lot of watercolor and very flowy, but then it was all about color, and I like blue, I like blue, I like blue, I like blue. Ooh, look at my spread I'm doing right now, it's all blue. You see where I'm going. But so I tried to really push myself, and I think I succeeded. The spread doesn't look anything like the class Lely Meal did, because I picked a lot of florals and it was just way too much color for my liking, and I had really troubles putting them together, so I covered actually a lot up with that light pink color. But yes, again, those pieces informed my color choices, and I really pushed myself out of my blue comfort zone. As you can see, there's actually not really blue in there. And I really like this spread. There again is an ephemera piece hiding by Bun there, that eye up there, which actually a lot of people liked when they saw that spread. And I really like the finished result. There's one more spread I would like to show you guys, and that's actually one I did not following any classes, and that's this one here. This I started super long ago, I think back in 2017, when I really just started getting into our journaling and everything. And I don't have a picture to show you from where I started this, but I basically covered up a lot just to kind of rein in the chaos that was this spread before I started working. But yeah, it's about the rune Isa, and I did a lot of research on that. I'm currently looking at my sketchbook page where I put a lot of sketches and information, because there's like plants and colors and tarot cards and stuff that you can kind of attach to this rune. And yeah, that's kind of where I pulled my inspiration. I could not tell you for the life of me why I thought a skeleton would go with Isa, but that's in my initial sketch, so I ran with it, and I really like the look of it, so don't think too much about it. But yeah, I'm really happy how this turned out.
So yeah, after my battery died, I continued working on it a little bit, and this is how far I got. It got a little bit more detail, and it actually also got a direction. So up until the point you would have seen in the sped up version, there was actually still like this map piece in here somewhere. But I felt like the color was just not working, so I decided to cover it up and kind of keep it more in this kind of blue scheme with the pink. I just brought in a little bit more of that pink that I already had going in the spread, and yeah, I really like where this is going and the direction it's taken. I don't know if you can see here. I started painting in, no, it's probably not really noticeable, but maybe with this one. This one really reminded me of an oyster. So yeah, I decided to make this kind of an underwater scene, and I was thinking what could be the focal point, and I thought, wouldn't it be cool to have some kind of fish? So I just Googled Pinterest, you know how it goes, and ended up with a koi. Yeah, and obviously I'm not just gonna draw a koi right onto that journal spread, so I wanted to try that in my sketchbook. And that's how that turned out. I actually really liked how this sketchbook spread turned out, really. I actually used some of my newly made Cyanoprint ephemera in here, and yeah, really nice sketchbook, but for some reason it sort of looks like a finished spread, so that's really nice. And yeah, but I think I'll take that fish and transfer it eventually, or maybe I'll just copy it, I'll see, into that journal spread, and I'll keep you updated on how that is. Ooh, and my battery is about to die, so I'll just finish it off right now. I'll thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a like and subscribe if you want to see more. Again, this new camera is making it really easy for me, so I think I'll actually be able to set this up more quickly and easily, and maybe we get a little bit more of a monthly schedule going, but no promises. I probably will take another 3 months until I upload the next episode, but stay tuned. I really hope this is becoming a more regular thing though. So thank you for watching, and see you next month. Bye bye.